and girls. Jeff Perry here from the Fiddle Jam Institute for iFiddle for another installment of our column. I'm honored to be here. And this week we're going to get to some cool stuff. Now, I'm going to reference some of the other videos I've done for Mike at iFiddle before. One of them is about chords and how to speak chords in the fiddle. Blues scales we're going to mention. I did a video about that. They're kind of like magic. I did one on swamp fiddle. I did one on gypsy, how to sound gypsy. I think I did one on Johnny Gimbel when he passed too. Anyways, so we'll reference a couple of things. You can maybe go back and see some of the details that I've covered before. But if I had to sum up what I do at the Fiddle Jam Institute into one sentence, I realized thinking about it that it's really all about getting you to sit in with a band. Most fiddlers, it's a thing that they don't know much about, whether it's sitting in a rock band or sitting in with a blues band or a jazz group or even in a bluegrass situation. People learn some tunes and they're kind of afraid and they don't know what to do and they don't know how to ask. And so I'm going to cover some of these things here and see if we can rifle through this. Again, like I said, I've covered a lot of these things before, so we'll kind of gloss over those. But if you're to sit in with a band, if I'm training someone to sit in with a band, what's some of the few things you got to know? Well, there's a few things you just need to know how it works. I'll describe those quickly. There's a little bit of ear training. There's a little bit of secret handshakes in the know-how stuff to get through this too. There's a little bit of lingo. You need to know how the gear works. Maybe if you're going to plug in. So let's dig in. So, number one thing about sitting in with a band is it's not about what you play always so much, but how much you listen, and sometimes what you don't play. It's more important. If I was to water it down to one thing to really pay attention to, it would be, number one would be rhythm. You can play the wrong notes at the right times, and a lot of people don't even know the difference. So it's just human nature that we latch onto rhythm more exactly. So even if you're just going to play one note, like find out what the key is, key of D, just play D. Now, that might not be the most exciting thing, but there is an excitement in rhythm. If you just kind of get in the groove with the rest of the people and start playing something very simple, it'll be fun. It'll be useful to the vibe and useful to you. There's a magic to rhythm for sure. You know, I know a lot of stuff about music. I've played with symphony orchestras, all these things, and can write for such things and put out CDs and play in front of big crowds. But I don't even know the most basic thing about music even is the beat. I don't even know. Nobody knows what a beat really is. It's kind of like magic. It's this pulse that we kind of all feel together psychically, and it kind of goes through us and outside of us, and you know, it's like, I don't know. So latch onto that first. That's what the magic is. The next thing as far as ear goes, like what do you need to know by ear to be able to sit in? Well, let's back up for a second. You could learn first, of course, a few tunes, maybe a half a dozen tunes. You could learn the greatest hits fiddle tunes. Violin Cabbage Down, Cripple Creek, maybe Red-Haired Boy is played a lot in some circles, or Arkansas Traveler, or Red Wing, or Liberty, some of the popular songs that always gets played at these pickin' parties. You can learn those, of course. You can go there prepared with, you know, half a dozen tunes. But what happens if nobody calls those tunes, or you're not feeling like you're in charge, and hey, let's do this song, and the tunes get called, or we play those songs, what do you do after they're done with those songs? You sit on your thumbs? So you need to know how to creatively make up parts. All right, that's where the ear comes in. I mentioned already is playing one note rhythmically is fine. The thing I've covered in another video is how to kind of follow the root note of each chord. And the chords are usually simple 3-chord songs. The 1, 4, and 5, as you'll hear musicians speak of, as part of the lingo. That's the first chord, the 4th chord, and the 5th chord of that key. If it's in the key of G, it's G is the 1 chord, A, B, C is the 4th chord, and D, G, C, D. You'll say, oh, it's easy, it's 1, 4, 5, follow us. That's the lingo. It means those 3 popular chords that fit together. So, all you do is cozy up to the nearest guitar player, as an example, and tell him, tell me the chords. G. You play. When on a G chord, play a G. C chord. C. And D. Play the name of the chord, and at least you're having fun, you're playing something with somebody. All right, that's one way to go. Another way to tweak your ear is to learn to listen to the bass player. That's probably the most important way. The bass player is supposed to be the expert at the basics, and he or she is supposed to lead you by the butt, kind of from chord to chord. So if you learn to listen to the bass player, you'll be able to kind of follow things, your ear training will rise exponentially. So follow the bass, and that'll help you a lot. Play the name of the chord. You can learn the notes in each chord. That's a little more advanced, but you could go for it. Now, what about outright jamming? That's my thing. That's what Fiddle Jam Institute is all about. I love improvisation, and a lot of people are scared of it. Oh, don't you have to be a virtuoso to be, to be an improviser? No, it can't be the farthest thing from the truth. You just need to know the scale to fit in, usually with the overall key. And simple roots music, bluegrass and blues and stuff, one scale can easily fit the whole song. You don't have to think about the chords or nothing. If it's a blues song in the key of G, you use the G blues scale. And I will give a list, a fingering charts for probably the 7 or 8 most common easy fingerings for a lot of scales per mic to give to you, whoever wants as a download, a free download. So look for that, ask for that. I guess Mike will figure out how to deliver that. So if it's a major kind of song, like a bluegrass song, major scale, the do, re, mi. If it's in the key of G, use, if you don't, 2 octaves, use any of those notes for every chord the whole way through. Just kind of be quick about it. And that brings me to the next way to do this. It's one, to know an overall key, an overall scale. Another one is to train your ear, to trust your inner ear to listen intervallically. So by interval, you can start at any note. Okay, D sounded pretty good. Even the chord G. G. Okay, D sounded pretty good. Now the chord's going to C. C. And D doesn't sound so good with the C chord. So you go, just listen. Okay, I'd like to go up 1 note, C, back to G. See, I just went up or down 1 note. If you learn to listen to small intervals, start on a note that sounds good, any note, and kind of try to hear how far away another note, and when the chord changes, how far away it will be. That's good ear training. And it's not a wrong thing to do. Some players play that way, even in jazz, trumpet players and stuff, they'll play a note, and sometimes it's small. You don't have to jump far, just a step up or a half step up or a step and a half, maybe as far as you need to learn to hear. Just hear how far away the next note is that you'd like to play. That will sound good. And you're never going to be more than 1 note off. If you hit a note that doesn't sound good, just go up or down 1 note. It's guaranteed, because of the nature of chords being every other note, that you'll fit one in somewhere, that if you land one in between, it doesn't sound good, flip it to one that does. It's just the nature of music. So, listen to the bass player, follow the guitar player, jam with an overall chord or scale, and listen intervallically, like just hear how far away the next note is. When you get quick at that, that's outright improvisation too. You can use all these things. You listen to the bass, you know the overall scale, and kind of listen how far away the next note is. That's where it all comes together. But those are the 3 elements to making up your own parts or solos. The other thing you might need to know, the tools, mechanics of music. I already mentioned the 1-4-5. If you know your triads, I mentioned those already. That's helpful. The other secret handshake thing is 7th chords. A lot of musicians who aren't very experienced go, "What's that 7th chord business? And what's that?" It's simply a chord with a 4th note. Remember, chords are every other note. The 1st note, the 3rd note, the 5th note of a scale. A 7th chord has the 7th note of the scale, going every other note as the next one. But here's the secret handshake. Nobody would ever know this except by someone telling you. When it's a 7th chord, or a dominant chord as it's sometimes called in the lingo, the 7th note is lowered a half step from its major scale. Weird, I know. That's the secret handshake. So a G7 doesn't have an F sharp from the G major scale, has an F natural, drops a half step. It's called the lowered 7th. That's all I need to know there. So, other than the lingo, getting on the bandstand, there's some etiquette for sure. Remember, if you're sitting in, it's not your gig. So, I have my paddle here from a local artist. Be nice or go home. It's true. It's not your gig. So just be a good person and sit in and be humble about it. And music is not a competitive sport. You're not looking to best everybody. If you want to get asked back and have a good time, just be cool. All right? Be nice and play something nice and be humble about it and step forward when it's your spot that they point you play. Don't shrink in the shadows and no, I can't do that. Don't be afraid. Play when it's your chance to play. Step up and play. Everybody wants you to play. So fear is another thing. you know, in bluegrass, some situation bluegrass circles, you'll come to the picking party. It might be around a campfire or something. The most authoritative people kind of gravitate to being the leaders. Maybe they won't be you at first. That's okay. But be friends with that person, whoever that is, and they'll go around the circle. Everybody have a chance to take a ride or a solo or a little feature. Play whatever you can for the chorus. It's fine. Use the techniques I'm talking about here. So the other area to be prepared for is if you need to plug in. Now, to be prepared for this, you need probably a pickup. I've done a video on YouTube, gets quite a few views, about my pickup explorations. If you haven't seen that, you can check it out on my YouTube channel, Fiddle Jam Institute. I did one on this magic little thing right here. This is the cheapest little under $20 suction cup pickup made by Axel, this one is. And you can find these, like I said, under 20 bucks. I think wholesale is about $9 on them. So this thing tucked under the tailpiece behind the bridge, back in this area, with the tailpiece kind of pushing on it, sounds as good as my $300 AKG microphone made for Fiddle. They're amazing. They're cheap, but they sound really good. Put it in the right spot. There's a magic spot on your fiddle. If you put them in the wrong spot, they'll sound like a $9 pickup. But I did a whole video on that. You can check that out. Other than that, you'll need something more electrified, something like this. You know, this is a very nice tone wood instrument made to be completely electric. Without it being plugged in, it's quiet. It does have some acoustic chamber inside, so you can get one of those stick fiddles. Very quiet. Plugged in. It's got a nice piezo pickup on it. Doesn't sound exactly like an acoustic violin, but it sounds a little stuffy. These things sound maybe, but they don't sound bad. I got to go into this nice Bose system back here. You could have, and that's $1,000. You don't have to invest that much. An instrument like this might cost, you know, up to $1,000 or so. But there's the 5-string, extra strings is the thing, you know, in that world. You can get into that world if you'd like. A couple $100 to get you there. But be prepared. You might want a preamp or something to plug in to sweeten it up. When you're plugging into somebody else's gear, you know, like I said, be nice. And just be respectful and try to be able to, you know, make it not be too shrill. So that's a video in all itself, the whole electrified thing. So pretty much that's it. The only thing left to talk about quickly is the fear factor. If you're terrified and nervous, you're not going to play well. I know I've told stories about me blowing my first college audition at Eastman School of Music because I got nervous. I knew kids that I was better than I got in, and I didn't because I didn't play well. You know, I went on. It took me on a different path, but that's okay. You know, things happen, but fear does not serve any of us really. And what's going to happen if you play wrong notes on your fiddle during a friendly sit-in situation? Not much, you know. They'll be forgiving, especially if you say, I'm new at it, you're humble about it. It's not a big deal. So, and I also cover in the Fiddle Jam book, you know, the stages of stage fright, some techniques how to get over these kind of things. One is pretend you're angry. You know, some people rock and roll. It's just, how dare them think I'm going to play the wrong notes, you know, whatever your thing is. Some people stop right there with the anger business. Pretend you're angry or have some humor about it. Think everybody that's listening has clown noses on or something, whatever your thing is. Whatever relaxes it for you. Just chill out. It's not a big deal. You're at the beginning if you're watching this video and just need to, you know, take it easy. So a quick review of what we talked about. To be able to sit in with the band, you got to know a few tunes, probably. Wouldn't hurt you. But once the tunes are over, what do? Well, you listen more than anything. You fit in with the bass or the guitar, play the name of the chord. You can play chord tones. You can jam with an overall scale. Step up when it's your turn to play. Back off in the background when it's not. You can listen intervallically. Try and hear how far the next note is. Those are good tips. I will provide, you know, a download for you guys for the 6 or 7 or 8 most popular fingering patterns for most popular scales. Know about the 1-4-5. Know about 7th chords. Know a few of the secret handshakes. You know, the lingo. Look for the eye contact and nods. I mean, in the bluegrass world, when somebody holds their foot up, say, I got my foot up. That means it's the end of the song. Just know a few things. You know, just kind of stay on your toes and be nice or go home. You know, don't show up if you're not going to be nice. It's not a competitive sport. If you're going to be too nervous, this doesn't work either. being nervous isn't nice either. It doesn't serve anyone. So there you go. That's my take on the basics of what it is to sit in with a band, the sit-in situation. I hope this is useful information for you. It's stuff I learned the hard way and nobody really taught me, just by being on thousands of gigs. All right, so my experience is your benefit, I hope. Cool. Thanks for supporting Mike at iFiddle, and check out my stuff if you like it. It's the Fiddle Jam Institute, and watch for that download for the bonus scales, and we'll see you next time. Peace.